Assalamu alaikum, Ustada Fatima.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How
Hamza,
was
you always embarrass me by introducing me in such a grand way. Subhanallah. Please don't
no,
do that.
no. Yeah, well, you're a teacher, so may Allah bless you. Jazakallah for your efforts and your book on Khadija, radiallahu anha, and everything else that you do. May Allah elevate you and preserve you and your family. Obviously, I'm very close friends with your husband. May Allah bless him and preserve him as well. And yeah, so talk to us. Give us advice.
Yes, well, I don't think I've ever spoken to Brother Mohammed Hijab, although my sons follow him and copy him as well with some of his.
This is a great household.
Some of his. I think there's even a whole Twitter. I think there's even a whole Twitter account called. I've forgotten the name of it, but it's basically
no context.
Mohammed Hijab memes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yes, I'm familiar with Brother Mohammed, and I just wanted to say to you guys that I'm actually really looking forward to the Jordan Peterson interview. And, I really feel like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you, Brother Mohammed. And I know that sounds, I don't want to put too much pressure on you.
Agree.
But I mean, in the sense, I bet Brother Hamza can identify with, the kind of hopes of the Muslims that are on your shoulders. Like I remember when Brother Hamza was doing the debate with, I've forgotten his name, Lawrence Krauss, all those years ago. I think even though it might seem like a debate about science, atheism, things like that, for Muslims, it means so much more, because we see these figures, especially somebody like Jordan Peterson. I think a lot of Muslims, what he said has really resonated with us. In fact, in some strange sort of way, he's sometimes represented some of our views without even probably realizing it, and popularized them. And also, I think on a personal level, a lot of us have actually benefited from his books. To be quite honest, like me personally, I have. They've really highlighted even his biblical analyses. I found, for example, his analysis of Habil and Qabil, the whole story of Cain and Abel, all of that kind of really, really useful, and sometimes presented in a way that we haven't even heard sometimes Muslims, present it, because he's got that psychology lens, right? So I guess I just wanted to make dua for you and say, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you. And also, I guess we feel like you're representing us, so if you don't mind, if I could just mention to you some of the thoughts that might be in people's heads, when we watch Jordan Peterson, some of the things that we for myself, one of the things I've noticed about him is he knows very little about Islam, virtually nothing, it seems, right? And in a way, he's been actually quite careful about that. I know he'd made that warlord comment, but generally, since he hangs out with people Douglas Murray and people like that, those are his friends. He could have really gone for Islam, you know what I mean? He could have been really intellectually dishonest and just attacked Islam. And he kind of, I guess, made a mistake interviewing somebody like Ayaan Hirsi Ali. But the fact that he's now sort of turned to talking, even being willing to engage with Muslims, it's okay, it shows a type of, I don't know if I want to call it sincerity, but it kind of shows a type of softness of the heart or something,
I had a dream about Jordan Peterson 2 days ago, that? Well, I don't know, 3 days ago. It was. I forgot to mention this to anyone, actually. As you were talking, I just thought about it now. I was on the phone to him, yeah? I was speaking to him, yeah? And he was fuss. Yeah.
Sorry, you disappeared for a moment.
He was speaking in Fusha Arabic, and he was speaking to me, and I was speaking back to him in Arabic. I was like, okay.
In Arabic, okay.
That was all that But anyway, that might be a sign for things to come.
Inshallah.
You don't know, man.
Inshallah.
You don't know, man. But at the end of the day, like you said, he's already internalized a lot of things that are Islamic, and I personally believe he's been struggling with a purpose, like not himself, but he's been struggling against nihilism, and he's writes against it and stuff. And Islam is in many ways everything anti-nihilist. So,
and he's also suffering personally. Like, you know, I've actually been following him and his daughter for some time, and because of his health problems, his wife had cancer, all of that. Even though he speaks so positively about religion, or should I say Christianity in particular, he sort of he hasn't fully committed to anything, you know, it seems like, but he's sort of yearning for something, because he talks about like how he's had depression for a long time, and you know, so on a personal level, I think there's a real softness to him. He's very quick to crying, for example, you know, to and very willing to be vulnerable, and that's quite, I don't know, that's quite a unique characteristic, I think, in some ways.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
apart from that, I wanted to mention, like, one of the things he always seems to conflate, or always seems to put together, is Judeo-Christian, you know, like civilization, right? And it just seems so fake the way that's put together, you know, since Jews and Christians have basically been at each other's throats or at least the Christians have been oppressing the Jews for so many centuries, right? And yet him and it seems like some of his, you know, his friends, they seem to always try to put those together and inadvertently otherize the rest of the world, right? So I would really like to see that addressed. Also, he talks a lot about.
I think like with that one is
Yeah.
a bit of an obscure angle, and not in the sense that you're not making a good point, but I feel like in the time that I have with him, we need to really focus on the main points, the main points, which are to educate these people with foundational aspects of Islam. I want people to know the basics. I have a feeling that people that are going to be listening to that don't know what our stance is even on Isa, on Jesus Christ.
Yes.
It's that basic. We can't assume that this deep and like they are theologians and they know all about us and stuff. Honestly, they might not even know the basics of the basics of the basics. So for me, since I'm being asked a question, like I'm going to be asked questions like and stuff from him, I'm going to try and focus it on foundational matters as much as possible.
That's very wise. That's very wise.
Because I feel
I'm not necessarily highlighting these things as things that you should talk about.
You make.
They're just, I guess, observations I think that Muslims have had, you know, and have been feeling that.
For sure.
Even though Islam shares so many, for example, of the biblical stories, right? So-called biblical stories.
Yeah.
It seems like they don't know that. They just don't know that we.
No, I think you're totally right. You're definitely right. These are things I think we've all kind of felt like the way he speaks, and I think, like you said, I think recently he said it one time himself in one of his videos. He said, "I don't want to casually alienate my Muslim supporters."
Yes,
he said that himself. Yeah. So if that's what he's doing, and he put that guy up, who's a traditionalist Muslim, the Mauritanian guy who suffered in Guantanamo Bay.
Mohammed Hijab,
and so clearly the trajectory is a positive one, and we hope that continues being a positive one.
Yeah, and also Ustad Fatima, but everyone should appreciate that we do try and put Mr. Mohammed Hijab through a kind of, what do you call it, a surer process, and he's training us. But the point is, we put him through this kind of exercise, and he chooses. Look, Hamza, he called me the other day. He was like, Hamza, right, good news, this has happened. And I said, right, we're back into the trenches. We need to focus. And we talked about spirituality. We talked about, you know, the intellectual stuff we've got covered. Let's think about how we're going to come across. Think about, you know, all of these things. We have these discussions, and he does, I think one of the most, and many don't have shura. And one good thing about Hijab and the team, hopefully, there's lots of shura going on. You know, we have a student.
And also, I guess reading his material as well, right? Like
he's already done that. So so there is a bit of a history with regards to the whole discussion that maybe Hijab could talk about. But he's already read the book.
Basically, what it was is that we were meant to speak to each other in May, you know? And so we were meant to speak to each other in May, and then it was meant to be on my podcast as well. And then after again in August, and then he had to reschedule twice. So this is the third time. I didn't announce it because I just felt because of his health condition or whatever other reason, I didn't want people to be disappointed if it didn't happen, which was, alhamdulillah, what happened, isn't it? But the third time, because we've had discussions with his team for some time now, I feel like it will be unlikely that he pulls out again.
Yes,
because he is communicating and conversing with other people. So for me, if he pulls out now again for the third time, that would indicate something.
But you know what I was actually thinking when I saw it, I think advertised or mentioned on your somebody's Twitter, is maybe it's not a good idea to put it out there. And I'll tell you why. Because
sorry, one second.
There are people who atheists and people who would probably petition him to cancel you. You know what I mean?
No, he's a freedom of speech activist.
Yes,
So if like that's what people do against him. Do you understand? That's what people do against him. So if he falls for that and says,
you, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then that's it. Then all the things that you've been talking about in terms of freedom of speech and freedom of expression and lack of censorship and stuff like that, like I don't think he can afford to do that.
Yeah,
and give that. To be honest, that would seriously hinder his public.
And I think what's very important is that now I think we're at the stage where everyone should just make lots of dua. You know, make dua that it's success, that it's good for Islam. Whatever happens is, pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the most important thing.
And one more thing is that they're aware of my work and they're aware of what I am and they're aware of who I am and what I represent.
Absolutely.
And so it's not like they don't know, who I am. Like I'm a traditionalist, Orthodox Muslim man, but that is the majority. Like at the end of the day, if he continues talking to people like Majid Nawaz, who have no clout in the Muslim community and is considered as an apostate by the majority of them, or someone like the latest person he spoke to, I forget his name, but he's a reformist kind of liberal Muslim or something like that.
Oh yeah, Mustafa Akyol, I think his name.
Yeah, I understand he's liberal. So who does he represent? Like liberal Muslims are only really relevant in academia, and even then they're kind of irrelevant, to be honest. So,
but I think he's supposed to be talking to Hamza Yusuf as well, right?
He was supposed to be speaking to Hamza Yusuf. And he's another person that he should speak to. He should actually speak to Hamza Yusuf. I believe that. But once again, I feel like to get a full flavor of the Muslim community, he needs to speak to different people. And Hamza Yusuf is a great choice. I'm not against him speaking to Hamza Yusuf at all.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah. And one more thing, I've noticed that a lot of the people who have sort of congregated around I don't know, I don't want to call them the alt-right. They don't identify themselves as that. But, the sort of outcast right, whatever you want to call them. I don't think a lot of them have actually ever visited a Muslim country and sometimes I just want to say to them, come and visit a Muslim country, like somebody like...
Wallahi, that's a really, really, really good point, That is a fantastic point. Because when you go to
have you noticed when he was talking to Ayan Herzi Ali, one of the things she always says is how, that stupid story about the bus stop and how, I don't know if you remember it, she says like for the first time in her life when she came to the West, a bus actually turned up on time, right? And he was using that as an example of,
she needs to come to the UK. to come to London. Oh my God.
Right. But they use that dumb stories like that as examples of
it's true.
The sophistication of Western.
I know. I would put money. I don't know. But I would put money that he has not been to a Muslim country before or spent significant time there, because the way he speaks about it is like genuinely like another planet. Not, do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And Joe Rogan, I reckon Joe Rogan, the only other Muslim country he's probably ever been to is the UAE, and he's probably goes straight from the hotel to the what do you call it, to the ring or whatever it is. Sorry, I'm just getting a pizza. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Wallahi, they don't. If they travel, I think they'd be shocked.
Yeah,
I think they'd actually be shocked.
The world for them, the Muslim world is just like something they read about, or you know.
Yeah, they would be shocked. I reckon they would actually be shocked. They went to they say, "What's this, man? Everything is."
Yeah, you're right.
Imagine them going to Indonesia or Malaysia.
But you know what's interesting? It's also the other way around as well. Is that when you travel to America, it's not the picture that we see even in Britain. Like I've traveled to many states in America. I've been to Pittsburgh, Minnesota, California, and I think some of the most nicest people I've met in my life, bro, is in America. Like I think in Pittsburgh, if your car would break down, you would have people coming to help you on the hard shoulder. I don't think that would ever happen in the UK, right? They have different, like the mosque that I was dealing with there, when 9/11 happened, they came to the mosque with flowers saying, you know, kind of thing like, don't feel alienated, we're with you. So, you know, sometimes we live in a world of binaries, unfortunately. And, you know, Allah says people are not the same, right? And we have to appreciate not to otherize each other, especially on an individual level. So, yeah, you're right. Travel is one thing that's going to open everyone's mind.
That's what Pew shows. It shows that the more you live with people that are different to you, then less likely you are to be racist or discriminatory.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why countries are like that.
Even Donald Trump said when he visited the Muslim world. I mean, I think Donald Trump has seen more of the Muslim world than some of these people. He was saying, you know, the highways are better than our highways in America, right? Like he was impressed by. He was in the Gulf, I think, and he was talking about how much more sophisticated things were, right?
Well, Donald Trump is actually liked in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you know that. They actually like him.
That's because they like him, aren't they?
You know why? You know what is a lot of I found it quite unusual, but it's because he's open. And don't forget about his racist and all that. Yeah, it's true. But the way he's willing to engage, talk with them, eat with them, Arabs like that kind of thing, innit? If you're kind of person that's just talking about people, not talking to them, not speaking with them, like they ain't gonna accept you, innit?
But I think he secretly admired them as well. You know, he admires people, leaders who can kind of get things done.
Of course. Yeah, he's not into democracy that much.
I think he wishes he could, you know.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah. You couldn't be a dictator.
Well, anyway, Jazakallah khair, and I really hope that. I mean, I'm really happy to hear that you're saying, you know, you want to focus on the basics, and because you're right, it's not just really about Jordan Peterson; it's the millions of people who are, or you know, hundreds of thousands of people who are gonna, perhaps for the first time ever, be exposed to Islam, right, or to a Muslim even, right?
Exactly. Yeah, true. No, they're not the guy that he had the other brother on the. To be fair, the Mauritanian guy.
Yeah, he was very good, mashallah.
Yeah, he was very good, man. I like that guy. I really like him. I like it. The stuff he's been through is amazing. In a sense, that video itself was dawah, to be honest.
Definitely, the spirituality shone through, right? Like,
I haven't watched it.
The way he promised to God. He said, you know, that when one of his lowest points, he decided that if he was free, he would live a good life and he would be kind to people. And I think that really impressed.
You can see that he's properly authentic in it. Like he's you can see he means it.
Yeah, and it's a powerful thing.
A lot of these people, they don't associate compassion and, you know, kindness and forgiveness with Muslims and with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? They associate those things with Jesus, and they think the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the opposite. So when they hear a Muslim talk about forgiveness and compassion, it's like, oh, like you guys have that too, you know. It's almost like the basic stuff, you know, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, they only associate with Jesus, it seems like.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I think that's one of the things that need to be maybe discussed. in the podcast.
Jazakallah, Ustada Fatima.
Yeah, cool.
There's lots of people waiting on the.
Thank you so much.
So may Allah
Yes,
bless
I
you.
understand.
Give salam to the family, and
I will, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.